Chef Thomas Hale stood behind the gleaming counter of his modest restaurant, Hale's Haven, where the tantalizing aroma of simmering herbs and roasting garlic intertwined to create a symphony of flavor. His hands, though calloused and rough, danced deftly over the ingredients, every slice of tomato and sprinkle of basil a testament to years of dedication. The restaurant, nestled in the heart of a bustling city, was a labor of love, but love alone didn't pay the bills. Barely holding on to the crumbling facade of his dream, Thomas was acutely aware of the ever-growing pile of unpaid invoices and the weight of mounting debt that pressed heavily on his shoulders. His passion for culinary artistry often clashed with stark reality. Each month brought more struggles to keep his doors open, and with every dish served, he found himself sinking deeper into the quicksand of financial hardship. Yet amidst the cacophony of stress and uncertainty, Thomas held on to his values with fierce determination. He believed in the healing power of food and the connections that could be forged around a table. To him, a meal was not just sustenance, it was an experience, a moment of warmth in an often cold and disconnected world. On a sticky Thursday evening, the restaurant buzzed with the voices of a handful of patrons who doted over their meals, comforted by the familiar surroundings, blissfully unaware of the world outside. But Thomas felt different. The light from the vintage bulbs above flickered, much like his hope. He wiped his brow and sighed, reminding himself that every decision he made could be the difference between keeping the lights on or closing his doors for good. Just as he was about to retreat into the kitchen with the weight of his thoughts, he spotted a woman at a corner table, the glow of a single candle illuminating her face, making her look almost ethereal. She hesitated as the server handed her the check, her expression flickering through disappointment and defeat as she scanned the total. In an impulsive moment, Thomas felt a rush of empathy wash over him. He could see her hesitation, could imagine the thoughts swirling in her mind about choices and sacrifices. He wanted to reach into his pocket and help, but all he had were his last few crumpled bills. And yet, the familiar pang of his own struggles melted away in the light of her potential distress. With a determined breath, Thomas approached the server, his heart racing with each step. "Let me cover her dinner," he said, his voice filled with resolve. The server looked surprised but nodded, shuffling back to deliver the news. When the server returned to the woman with a smile, Thomas could only watch from a distance, half anticipating confusion and disbelief. But instead, her face lit up in pure gratitude, a light that pierced through the fog of Thomas's own troubles, an ephemeral glow that filled the space around her. She glanced around as if to confirm that this moment of kindness was really happening, and when her eyes locked onto his, they held an unspoken exchange of understanding. "I know it isn't much," he thought, "but I hope this makes your day a little brighter." His own heart swelled with a warmth that he hadn't felt in what seemed like ages. In that instant, he realized that despite his own troubles, generosity created a ripple effect that might just lift others, even if only for a moment. As the woman left, she caught his gaze once more, and he smiled back at her with sincerity. In lieu of words, she pressed her hand against her heart and nodded, conveying emotions that were worlds apart yet strikingly similar: joy, gratitude, and a connection that defied their unfamiliarity. After the restaurant had settled down for the night, Thomas locked the doors and turned off the lights. Underneath the fading glow, a flicker of hope began to burn inside him, ignited by the simple act of kindness he'd bestowed. "Maybe this is what I needed," he mused as he washed the dishes in the back, the warmth of that woman's gratitude echoing in his mind, like the final notes of a cherished melody. But the very next week, as he stood prepping before lunch service, a curious envelope arrived at the kitchen door, its edges crisp and embossed with gold lettering. His heart raced as he reached for it, unease mixing with excitement. Something told him this would not be a typical delivery. Tearing it open with trembling hands, he read the invitation that would alter the course of his life. "Dear Chef Thomas Hale, you are cordially invited to a culinary symposium where chefs will gather to share inspiration and innovation." The rest of the words blurred into a haze, his heart racing loud in his ears as he processed the weight of the opportunity. A symposium? An opportunity to connect with others, perhaps even collaborators or investors who could help turn around his struggling restaurant. He could hardly breathe as the possibilities flooded into his mind. Each thought was a kaleidoscope of hope, each moment filled with promise. Could this really lead to the transformation he so desperately sought? As he placed the invitation on the counter, he remembered the grateful face of the woman from the week before, how one small act had created a bridge he had never anticipated. Could kindness truly yield a springboard of opportunities? It was a question that lingered in the air, ripe for exploration, and Thomas couldn't wait to find out. The days that followed the invitation to the culinary symposium passed in a blur of excitement and trepidation for Thomas. He busied himself in the kitchen, each chop of garlic and stir of broth infused with renewed purpose. The act of creating became not just a necessity but a celebration of possibility. With every plate served, each moment he could infuse joy into the lives of his patrons. The flicker of hope within him began to grow into a blazing flame. When the day of the symposium finally arrived, Thomas approached the event with a mix of enthusiasm and nervous energy. He donned his favorite chef's coat, the once faded fabric now adorned with the wear and tear of endless hours in the kitchen. Staring at his reflection in the mirror, he felt a rush of determination that surged through him, a reminder that he wasn't just a struggling chef but a culinary artist eager to share his story. The environment at the symposium was electric, filled with the sounds of laughter and animated conversations, spice-scented air swirling with creativity. As he entered the main hall, the sight of kitchen stations, vibrant displays of fresh ingredients, and clusters of chefs sparked a sense of camaraderie he hadn't expected. This was a community, a tribe of food enthusiasts who shared stories of trials and triumphs. Thomas stood among them, a newcomer determined to carve his niche. As he circulated among his peers, he encountered Olivia Tran, a celebrated chef known for her innovative farm-to-table approach. With a warm smile and infectious enthusiasm, she opened up about her journey, a path riddled with challenges yet illuminated by moments of kindness that had inspired her to persevere. After sharing a few laughs, Thomas revealed his own story, the struggles of Hale's Haven, and the recent act of kindness that had fortified his resolve. "That's the spirit," Olivia exclaimed, her eyes twinkling with understanding. "You never know how your actions can inspire others. Kindness doesn't just change one person's life, it creates ripples that can transform whole communities. You should put together a signature dish showcasing what your restaurant stands for. Share that story." Thomas was energized by the idea, an image forming in his mind of a rustic dish that encapsulated not only his culinary style but the essence of camaraderie and connection. He spent the next few hours collaborating with fellow chefs, their laughter spilling into the air, mingling with the heady aromas wafting from pans and pots, an exquisite blend of inspiration and collaboration. When it was finally time for his demonstration, Thomas cleared his throat, the weight of eager eyes resting on him. There was something powerful in the vulnerability of the moment, a chance to unveil not just his dish but the heart behind it. He presented his creation, a rich mushroom risotto infused with fresh herbs and finished with a drizzle of truffle oil. It was simple yet elegant, designed to evoke warmth and kinship. As he plated the dish, he shared the backstory, recounting the woman whose gratitude ignited a series of events leading him here, and how her kindness echoed the values he wanted to reflect in his cooking. With each ingredient, he spoke of resilience, community, and the beauty of sharing a meal together, a message that resonated with chefs and attendees alike. After the presentation, Thomas stood quietly to the side, the cheers and applause mingling with the heartbeats of hope that surged within him. He felt alive, as if the act of sharing had reignited his passion, nurturing his spirit with the kind of life-giving energy he hadn't experienced in years. When the symposium concluded, Thomas was approached by several attendees expressing interest in collaborating with him. People who were charmed by his story wanted to help him turn Hale's Haven into something much greater than its humble beginnings. There was talk of partnerships, of pop-up events and food festivals, things he had only dreamed of, fiery glimmers of transformation. Over the following weeks, the synergy generated at the symposium translated into tangible opportunities. A local farmer offered him a partnership. Thomas would feature their fresh produce prominently in his dishes, helping the farm gain exposure while simultaneously elevating his menu. It was an enriching relationship built on mutual support and shared dreams. Meanwhile, Olivia kept in touch, her guidance a reassuring presence. Through her mentorship, Thomas learned the ins and outs of marketing his restaurant amid the vibrant culinary landscape of the city. She introduced him to influential food bloggers who expressed interest in doing a feature on his unique farm-to-table approach. The potential exposure sent ripples of hope coursing through the restaurant's upcoming days. As Hale's Haven flourished, Thomas also worked diligently on community outreach. Inspired by the way his simple act of kindness at the diner had transformed his path, he made it a point to create a space within his restaurant that paid it forward. He launched a community dish program accommodating locals who found themselves in temporary financial distress, allowing them to enjoy a meal on the house once a week. "It's not just about me anymore, it's about everyone who walks through these doors," he explained to his staff while developing the initiative. "We're going to create a space where kindness goes both ways." Though the program faced its challenges, misunderstandings, a struggle to maintain balance, Thomas approached each hurdle with resilience. He openly shared the struggles and successes with his team, encouraging a culture of empathy and growth among them. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the restaurant, a woman walked in. It was the same woman he had helped months before, her face radiant and hopeful. As she stepped up to the counter, tears filled her eyes. "I thought I'd never see you again," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "When you covered my bill that night, it meant more than you know. I was at my lowest, but your kindness gave me hope, and now I'm back on my feet and opening my own bakery." Thomas felt a surge of happiness ripple through him, a warm, electrifying jolt of connection that reaffirmed why he had chosen this path in the first place. "That's incredible," he exclaimed, excitement bubbling over. "I can't believe you're here. You must celebrate your success with us tonight." They shared a hearty meal, laughter echoing amongst the tables filled with patrons who had come to know each other like family over the months. The nights of striving to keep his restaurant alive had evolved into joyous celebrations of community, kindness, and shared stories of transformation fueled by acts of benevolence that had rippled out to touch so many lives. As he watched the balance of plates and the exchange of conversations at each table, he felt gratitude wash over him. The journey hadn't just been about revitalizing a restaurant, it was about rebuilding a community. The struggles had birthed resilience, and joy had taken root where sorrow once prevailed. In that moment, as he glanced at the thriving space, Thomas knew that kindness, the simple act of reaching out, had the power to create change, both in one's heart and in the broader world. Hale's Haven had become a sanctuary of resilience, a vibrant atmosphere where kindness fed not just the stomach but the soul. Thomas Hayes had ignited a flame, not only within himself but throughout the bustling town around him. And as he prepared to rewrite the next chapter of his life, he understood that kindness would always be at the heart of it, a guiding force propelling him forward amidst uncertainties, reminding him of the beauty in sharing hope one meal at a time. In the soft evening glow of Hale's Haven, Thomas Hayes stood behind the kitchen counter, the familiar symphony of sizzling pans and fragrant spices filling the air. With each stir of the risotto bubbling away, he felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over him. The last few months had been a whirlwind of activity, inspiration, and transformation, propelling both his restaurant and himself into an exciting new chapter. As he plated the evening special, a savory truffle risotto served with a side of roasted seasonal vegetables, he marveled at how far he had come. Just months ago, the anxiety of unpaid bills had shadowed his every thought, while now a sense of purpose and connection fueled his every decision. Thanks to his humble act of kindness toward a stranger and the resulting ripple it had set into motion, his world had expanded beyond the constraints of survival, revealing a brighter landscape of opportunity. The bell above the restaurant door chimed, signaling the entrance of familiar faces. It was Olivia, the celebrated chef who had mentored him through the culinary symposium, and she was accompanied by a small group of food bloggers excitedly snapping photos of the restaurant's vibrant atmosphere. Thomas's heart warmed at the sight. Her continued belief in him had blossomed into newfound connections that had propelled his restaurant into the spotlight of the local culinary scene. "Hey Thomas," Olivia called out, her smile wide and genuine. "Are you ready for another exciting evening?" He grinned, wiping his hands on his apron. "Always. Thanks for bringing your friends. I've got something special lined up for you all." As he led them to their table, Thomas felt a bubbling excitement of recognition, the kind of heartwarming acknowledgement that bloomed from shared experiences and support. With Olivia by his side and patrons eager to savor the offerings, he felt equitably tethered to those he had helped in his community and those who were now helping him in return. Dinner unfolded amid sparkling conversations, laughter echoing off the restaurant's rustic wooden walls. As plates were cleared and new dishes were savored, Thomas moved from table to table, engaging with his guests. He reveled in hearing their stories, sharing his enthusiasm for his dishes, each interaction deepening the sense of community that had blossomed under his roof. "Your food has been the highlight of my week," one frequent patron exclaimed between bites of the decadent mushroom risotto, which had quickly become a staple of the menu. "Agreed. I love how you manage to infuse meaning into every dish," another chimed in, her eyes sparkling. "I feel there's so much love that goes into what you create." Humbled and grateful, Thomas felt a deep well of emotion swell within him. Each compliment and story shared reminded him of the power of the very act of kindness that had sparked this flourishing phase of his life. It wasn't merely about running a restaurant, it was about nurturing connections and sharing the abundant love he had for food, each plate a conduit for warmth and togetherness. As the dinner crowd gradually diminished, he paused to acknowledge the stillness that enveloped the restaurant walls. The laughter had subsided, but the air hummed with a lingering energy, a blend of satisfaction and connection that needed no further words. Just then the door opened, and the familiar figure of the woman he had helped months ago stepped tentatively inside. Her name was Clara, and Thomas remembered vividly how her gratitude had filled both their hearts that fateful evening. "Clara," he exclaimed, waving her over. "So good to see you again. Come in." With a shy smile, Clara stepped forward, looking brighter and more vibrant than before. "Hi, Thomas. I wanted to stop by and tell you how thankful I am for what you did for me. It was a turning point in my life." Her sincere appreciation ignited a warmth in Thomas's chest. Here stood someone who had felt the profound effects of kindness, someone who understood how far-reaching it could be. "I'm glad to hear you're doing well," he affirmed, leaning nearer. "You mentioned you wanted to open a bakery." A flash of excitement lit her features. "Yes, I finally took the plunge. I found a small place downtown, and I'm in the middle of renovating it. With the support of my family and friends, it's really taking shape." "That's incredible," he said, genuinely thrilled for her. "What kind of baked goods are you planning to offer?" "I want to focus on traditional recipes with a twist. I even remember the chocolate cake you made the first time we met. I've been experimenting with my own take on it. Maybe I could offer it as a tribute to the kindness you showed me." Their shared laughter rippled through the restaurant, a sound that echoed the mission they had both discovered: a commitment to extend warmth beyond personal boundaries and, in many ways, heal through their crafts. As Clara shared her plans, unveiling her vision for community-inspired baking, a place where everyone could feel welcomed, it struck Thomas how interconnected their journeys had become. One simple act of kindness had reverberated not just in his life, but in hers as well, shifting the very fabric of both their worlds. Before long, a robust proposal formed in his mind. "What if we collaborated?" he suggested, a thrill dancing in his voice. "We could host a pop-up bakery here at Hale's Haven. It'd be an amazing way to introduce your baked goods while continuing the spirit of community." Clara's eyes widened, reflecting the excitement of a shared dream. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely. Your baked goods could provide a unique dessert pairing with my main dishes. Plus, we could donate a portion of the sales to support individuals in need. I'd love to keep giving back, just like we started." With established foundations of shared values, they began discussing plans right there in the restaurant, solidifying dreams in the air that sparked a new collaboration. As the weeks rolled into months, Thomas and Clara worked tirelessly to bring their shared vision to life. They organized tastings, tweaked recipes, and built excitement within the community. The pop-up began to draw patrons, not just for the food but for the strong sense of camaraderie that infused every event. It was a testament to the power of kindness, a reminder that when one extends compassion, it creates a pathway for growth and healing for others. At the official launch night of their collaborative venture, Bites of Kindness, the atmosphere in Hale's Haven was electric. Red and white balloons swayed overhead, adorned with strings of fairy lights that replicated the stars outside. The scent of freshly baked goods mingled with the wafting, savory aroma wafting from the kitchen, creating an irresistible symphony of flavor. As delighted patrons began to fill the restaurant once more, Thomas took a moment to step outside, leaning against the doorframe. The excitement and hope radiating from the colorful crowd filled him with purpose. He felt an overwhelming gratitude settle deeply in his heart. He couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had led him here, a series of seemingly small, individual acts that multiplied and grew, creating something beautiful. Clara joined him, a warm smile lighting her face. "Look at this turnout. It's incredible," she said, her voice brimming with joy. "You've really made a difference in so many lives, Thomas. The impact of your kindness is beyond what we can see." "So have you," he countered gently, "you took that kindness and turned it into something exceptional. It's not just about food, it's about connection and caring for one another." As they shared a look filled with mutual respect, Thomas knew that their partnership had come full circle. The combined efforts of their aspirations had established roots in their community, nourishing not just stomachs but spirits, sowing seeds of compassion throughout. The evening blossomed as laughter, delicious food, and animated conversations filled every corner. Patrons shared stories of their own experiences, transforming the event into a celebration of resilience, warmth, and kindness that echoed throughout the restaurant. Local media soon caught wind of the initiative, leading to features in publications that recognized Hale's Haven not just as a restaurant but as a beacon of hope and establishment that wove kindness into the very fabric of its identity. Public awareness led to a surge in patrons, transforming Thomas's once struggling business into a bustling hub of community joy. As the months passed, the health of the restaurant surged, and with it, the deepening bond among those who came to gather to eat, to share, and to connect. Thomas initiated opportunities for locals to highlight their own businesses or culinary talents at the restaurant, forming a network where kindness and collaboration flourished. One evening, as Thomas stood in the dining room filled with smiling faces, he felt Clara squeeze his hand. She leaned in, her voice warm against the backdrop of laughter. "Can you believe how much has changed? I truly think we've created something beautiful, something meaningful." He nodded, his heart swelling with pride. "This is just the beginning, Clara. Together we can make an even greater impact." They shared a knowing smile, a reflection of two souls intertwined in purpose, each act of kindness cultivating a garden of possibilities in their community. As the sun set behind the horizon, the warm glow of the restaurant lit up the surrounding streets, a shimmering testament to hope and human connection. Inside, clashes of forks and laughs echoed, filling the space with an energy that transcended the physical. In a world that often felt fragmented, Thomas Hale had found not just a thriving restaurant but a sense of family, compassion, and love. It began with one small gesture and grew into a sanctuary wherein the acts of kindness wrote stories of hope. Bites of kindness continued to flourish, and as Thomas looked around, he knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that they had transformed not just their lives but kindled a movement fueled by empathy and a profound sense of belonging. The future gleamed bright, vibrant, just like the laughter and warmth that filled Hale's Haven, where every bite, every connection, and every act of kindness echoed the resounding truth together. They were stronger, filled with hope and unwavering resolve.